taking a peek at the 9-inch infotainment system inside of the Nissan Pathfinder. You're going to find either an 8-inch or a 9-inch screen, depending on the trim level of the vehicle that you're in. But I'm going to show you everything that you need to know. First thing to point out, this is typically the home screen you're going to be met with when you first turn the vehicle on. But if you're in any of the other screens, you can just push the menu button to get back home. And you can swipe across in order to get to the other screen options. A little bit slow there, so I'd like to see that rate. Oh, interesting. Okay, never mind. Yeah, like, is it quicker one way or the other? No. So this definitely needs to get an updated frame rate, but still, you've got your basics there, so your climate, if your phone is connected, you've got the current clock, FM stations, and then a few other things. So straightforward, along the very top of the screen, you've got whether or not you're connected, and then the current time as well. You could push there if you wanted to turn your audio on or off. There's a volume rocker there. You've also got a tuning rocker, so tuning scroll wheel there as well. You've got your phone, info, so just basic information about the vehicle, so SiriusXM information. The only overly exciting thing about the info screen here is going to be your GPS location. So you can see your latitude and longitude. So very, very useful if you're going off-road and you get lost, you need a tow, you can give them the exact GPS coordinates. There's the audio screen, SiriusXM as well, and a few others. So let's actually go through. Oh, we're just going to start on the phone? Yeah, may as well. Why not? So let's start off by adding in a phone. So first one we're going to start off with is the iPhone side of things. So as of right now, no phones are connected. So in order to add the device, just going to hop into your phone's Bluetooth. There we go, my Pathfinder. Pins match up, so let's pair. Allow contacts and favorites to sync up. I'm going to say no to that one just because this is not my vehicle. But I mean, obviously, if it was yours, you'd have the flexibility to be able to add it in. And there we go. And there we go. So you see there, wireless Apple CarPlay, which is amazing. So you can use CarPlay this way. But one nice thing is that the screen is actually backwards compatible. So if you wanted to, you could use a traditional USB cable as well. But I prefer to go wireless, especially because this vehicle does also have a wireless charge pad. But you can see there, Apple CarPlay. Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Along the, oh, look at that. A little bit of an alert. I'll show you that one once we get to media. But, oh yeah, okay, there we go. You've got what the time currently is, your connection level, battery level, which map was last opened, which audio application was last opened, which miscellaneous application was last opened, and then you can either go back to your icon view or the home screen there instead. You can easily swipe across this way as well. Very straightforward to use. It's good. Now, it doesn't matter if you're using Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze. When you're on the iPhone side of things, there's no pinch to zoom capability. So you have to zoom in and out this way instead. Google Maps, same way, but it gives you a few more options. So you can search for addresses, or you could then avoid certain things on the route. So avoid highways, toll roads, and ferries. You can adjust your map color, different views. Do you want to see traffic, north, up, etc.? I honestly prefer to use Waze. You're going to find me using Waze the majority of the time. Works the exact same way as Apple Maps and Google Maps with one exception. And that's that, oh, I forgot. As you zoom in and out, you can see if there are police that are anywhere. So people have marked off that there are 2 cops there. So, I mean, beneficial. If you've got a little bit of a lead foot, you can get notifications and you can also mark things on the map. So, oh, no GPS signal. Oh, of course. But what you could do, if there was a GPS signal that was available, that's kind of odd. Showing me routes. Oh, that's strictly my phone. That's not because of the vehicle, but you'd be, oh, it's actually probably because of where I'm sitting. Yeah, but you'd be able to mark things on the map. So you could mark if there are hazards on the highway, if there are police and things like that. So it's pretty useful. And then a series of different options that are available for apps. For audio, you've got your just regular Apple Music. There are podcasts that are available. So if you're a fan of that, there's library apps. So Hoopla's a library app. So if you wanted to borrow books that way through your local library, you could do that instead. Like, there are so many options available. One downside is that the screen does not support video playback. So strictly YouTube Music and VLC for audio. You don't have the flexibility of playing actual YouTube or videos back on this screen inside of CarPlay. But you do have a few different options available. So on your phone, you can customize. So what you're going to do is go into your general settings, CarPlay, find your car, you can forget it, you can toggle CarPlay off while the phone is locked, or you can customize. So if you're a big fan of listening to your podcasts and you want Google Maps along the top, you can do that. or you've got the flexibility to remove things that have the minus button next to it. So you can remove a number of different options. It does save it along the bottom, so you could technically add them back in if you wanted to. But if you're not a fan of what you've done on the phone, you can hit reset in order to bring it back to the factory default screen there instead. And then one nice thing, you can also hit the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, so a longer press and hold in order to activate your Siri assistant that way. Straightforward. You can push menu in order to get back home, Apple CarPlay to hop back in, and then if you go into your connections, you can see that I'm currently connected to the iPhone for Apple CarPlay. If you wanted to disconnect, all you can do, hit that way. So Apple CarPlay inside of the vehicle, when you're connected wirelessly, actually uses Wi-Fi versus you'd be able to connect back over to Bluetooth for your phone calls, for your audio. You can kind of do a mix and match there. You can hit the info icon to delete the device. You can look at basic information there as well. You can hit this little icon for your Bluetooth. You can also change your vehicle name. So useful. So if you're not a fan of it being my Pathfinder, you can set it up to be whatever you'd like. Allow two phones simultaneously. So if you've got two phones connected, you can see who's got connection priority as well. But I know a lot of information, but that's how you set up iPhones inside of the Nissan Pathfinder. Setting up Android devices is the exact same process. So if you aren't on this screen, remember back home, you're going to go to connections, and then you've got this screen again. And then all you're going to do is just to add new. On your phone, you're going to open up your Bluetooth, and same idea, we're just waiting for my Pathfinder, or whatever the name that you changed it to is, to show up. Look at that. Bluetooth pairing request, so let's say okay there. Now fully connected. Do I want to allow access to contacts and messages? No, this is not my vehicle, so I'm going to say no to that one. And you can see, fully connected. You do also have the option of setting up Android Auto, but unlike the Apple side of things where it's wireless, you are looking at a wired connection instead. And you just want to make sure that it's a USB cable that supports data connection. So you have to make sure it's got that little data icon on there. You're just going to plug it in, either USB-A or USB Type-C in the middle there. And then opposite end of the phone, just plugging yourself in and give it a second there. Okay. And yes, we want to use Android Auto. Okay. On the phone, it says, do you want to launch Android Auto? And it should. There we go. Hopping right in. Look at that. Perfect. We are logged in. You've got this little button there in order to go to an icon view, back to a split view instead. You've got your voice command prompt there if you wanted to. You've also got your map. So you could push there in order to do full screen map, back to this little split screen instead. You've got podcasts and your phone settings, and then you've also got your basic connection status there as well. Now, I mentioned you can go full screen there if you wanted to, so very straightforward to do that. But this is pinch to zoom capabilities, and that's one thing that I love about the Android side of things, is that Google Maps is going to be full pinch to zoom capabilities, and then all of the same functionality. So you could search for addresses and things like that easily. You can avoid things on the route, so avoiding motorways, toll roads, ferries, and things like that. Back out. You can go this way if you want. Mute notifications, change up your heading, and all that fun stuff. Then you can also push this in order to get back to that split screen, or back again in order to get to this view. And then you've got a ton of different options available. Now, one thing you might notice is that the screen here, you've got Waze there. Now, if you've got Waze installed on your phone, but Waze is not showing up there, I've put together a little video explaining how to actually add Waze to Android Auto and actually use it. So if you've got Waze installed in your phone and it's not showing up, look in the description for a walkthrough on how to actually set it up. And then you've got the flexibility to customize this a bit. So on your phone, you're going to search for Android Auto, go Android Auto settings, and then you've got a series of different options available. The one that we're looking for, though, is Customize Launcher. And that lets you drag and drop in order to customize this a little bit. So if you wanted certain apps, like let's say if you wanted your podcasts, up along the top there instead, you can do it, but it's not dynamic like it was on the iPhone side of things. You've actually got to disconnect, and then reconnect, and then give it a second there. Launch into Android Auto, and there we go. And then, look at that. All of the changes that we've made have come into effect. So it's just a matter of disconnecting. You could jump back there, back to your menu, hit Android Auto to hop back inside, or go back to your connections. So as you can see there, I'm hooked up right now through Android Auto, but if you wanted to, you can disconnect from Android Auto by pushing there, And then, let's say if you have one phone connected for your phone calls and one for audio, you can kind of do a mix and match there. So it's either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but you can kind of do a mix and match of these other ones instead, which is great. So, I mean, obviously big benefit there. This phone for phone calls, other phone for audio, you can kind of do a mix there. You can hit the little info button there, look at device information, or you can just delete and yes, if you wanted to delete the phone from the vehicle. So this one's been deleted. And then, same idea, let's do the same thing on the iPhone side of things. So there, delete and yes. And both phones have been deleted. So that's how you set up Android and iPhone devices inside of the Nissan Pathfinder. And moving back home, you've got your little info button there that I mentioned earlier. Audio, which when you're in audio, you can select any of the available sources there. And then you've also got a little selection tray along the very bottom now, specifically for audio sources. But you've got FM available, AM, SiriusXM, and so many other things. But SiriusXM gives you a few options. So if you go to your SiriusXM menu, you can look at your channel list this way if you want to see all of the available channels. You could hop back. Oh, Bueller, there we go, back. You can look at your category views. You can do tune to start. Favorite artists, so you can see there. Favorite artist is available there, so you can just hop back in. SiriusXM menu. You can edit your favorites as well, so edit favorite artists and songs. So Red Hot Chili Peppers is noted as a song choice here, or as an artist choice, I could say. You can delete that, and that deletes it. But if you had an artist saved, whenever the song comes on, or the artist plays, or when a song comes on, it'll give you a notification letting you know. You can customize the channel list and then tune to start. So when you first turn the vehicle on, do you want that going, yay or nay? And then you can tag an artist or a song. So if there's a specific artist or song playing right now, so you wanted to get notifications for this song, you'd have the flexibility to do it. Hopping into your FM for a second there. If we look at FM menu, AM's the same way, but you've got all of the available stations. If you're new to an area and you're not sure what you can play, you could then just do a refresh when you get to a new area. You can scan this way if you want to, show radio text if it's available, and back. And then you've got all of your presets too. And it is broken up for AM, FM, and SiriusXM. But in order to save, once you're on a station that you want to go to, you're just going to push and hold in order to save it out, which is pretty straightforward. And then you've got the flexibility of pushing the left button along the steering wheel in order to jump between all of your presets, or you can do a longer press and hold if you wanted to seek that way instead. But honestly, I just recommend
select a command, canceling voice recognition.
Just use the voice command prompt. It makes it so much easier to change stations out that way. But yeah, so many different options available there. And then, let's see, that's straightforward there. Let's hop back into our main menu. You've got navigation. And using factory navigation is straightforward. You've got pinch to zoom capability. Graphically, that needs an update for sure. But it's still nice that you've got factory nav. You can search if you want to for different addresses. So you can just start typing in an address in order to go start searching. You can search by GPS coordinates. So it'd be latitude first, longitude second, in order to be able to see where you are, or where you're going, I should say. You can also search by point of interest icons. So if you wanted to search Tim Hortons, nice and Canadian of me, you could. This takes you just to the nearest one. So you can start, you can add to the route as well. So if you wanted to, you can add in a waypoint. So you've got your end destination, which is the Tim Hortons, and then a waypoint is everything in between. So if you wanted to stop at a gas station first, you could do that. And then you can look at more routes that are available. So if there are different ways to get there, it would give you different options. You could do a turn-by-turn list, show that one as well, and then just start.
The route calculation is complete.
There we go.
Proceed to the nearest road.
If your phone was connected, you'd technically be able to call them up as well. You can cancel it. You can see the full route options there as well. So you can see your turn-by-turn list, detour, route preferences. So do you want the fastest route, the most energy efficient, or the shortest route? Do you want to customize things? Do you want to show either your waypoint or the end destination that way instead? And then on the map, do you want to show your estimated time of arrival or how much time is remaining instead? Guidance settings, do you want to get your guidance voice? Toll booth, yay or nay, whether or not that one's coming up. Traffic, yes or no. And then how loud or quiet do you want the guidance volume to be? You can save the route as well. And then canceling, straightforward, you just hit cancel, yay. You can hit search again in order to look for addresses. You can hit this, oh, no, for Nissan Assistant. Chaos. You can also get a Nissan Assistant there if you want to, that was my bad. You could then save your current location, look at point of interest icons, map settings, and things like that. So do you want to show different icons on the screen? So your point of interest icons, what's showing up? Map settings. Honestly, the 3D map is the best in my opinion. You can do a little split map instead. Oh, it doesn't look good. When you've got a route going though, it shows you on one screen a few different options. But honestly, I prefer the map settings, either the 2D. The 2D is okay. I do prefer the 3D though. And then you can change your heading out by pushing the button there. You can look at destinations at the end there. Go home, go work. So one of the big benefits there is that if you enter in an address, you could then push the voice command prompt and say, navigate home, navigate to work. And whatever addresses are saved, it'll automatically take you there instead. You can go by street addresses. If you've got an address book there, previous destinations. So you've got all the addresses that we've gone to. You can delete different addresses. So all previous destinations, so you can delete previous points and things like that. So delete, obviously, if you're selling your vehicle or if you're lending it out, just from a general safety perspective, you can delete all of your previously done destinations instead. Yeah, that's it. It's honestly very straightforward using the map inside the vehicle. Options for connections, which we've already seen. The only other two we didn't see, Wi-Fi and then USB. So you do have the option of using the vehicle as a wireless hotspot. You do need a data plan in order to do it. You can adjust your network name if you want to, but it is nice to know that you don't have to just use your phone's data plan. You could subscribe to an individual plan that way instead. And then if you had a USB device connected, so let's go back and reconnect. USB stick, it's got MP3s on there. And when you do it, it should just take a second. There we go. USB disk. And then you can give full access, whatever the case may be. So straightforward. So there's not a ton of information. It's essentially just what's there. And then a series of different settings. Connections, which we've already seen. You'll see a few of these things kind of adjusted at a few different places. Volumes and beeps. So that's cool. So you can adjust out your audio this way. You can adjust it there. You can adjust your guidance volumes, your ringtone volumes. If your phone was connected, your outgoing calls. Do you want to get a beep? Hold on, listen to this. So you can delete that, or you can mute that beep if that's going to drive you nuts. And then do you want to get a guidance voice, yay or nay? Your clock, you've got the option of hiding or showing. And then there are 3 unique modes. So auto mode means that the vehicle determines what the current date and time is. If you're in the time zone mode, the only time you'd want to be in time zone is if you're straddling a time zone and if your speed is, or your time I should say, is constantly flipping back and forward. So you could then manually set your time zone instead if you wanted to, or you can do a full manual mode instead. So if you wanted to set your clock manually, you've got the flexibility to do it. Honestly though, for most people, your best bet is just going to keep yourself in the auto mode. And then you've also got military time instead, so that 24-hour mode or the 12-hour mode. What do you want your date format to be? Straightforward. So straightforward. Different options for navigation, which we've already seen the majority of these ones. You can delete your previous destinations and things like that. Customizing the menu, super useful. So you've got the 3 individual pages there that are available for the home screen. So if we go back, so you've got your 3 individual pages there. But like I said, you've got the flexibility to customize. So if you wanted to have your stations there instead, you've got the flexibility to do it. But I mean, look at this. There are so many different things that you can add in. So if you really wanted to customize each one of these screens and make it your own, you'd have the flexibility to be able to do it. You can also just reset. So if you've done too many things to it, you can reset, bring it back to that default screen there instead. And you can just do a drag and drop around in order to move things, or drag from the top and drop down there instead. Pretty neat. And then some sound settings. So treble, mid-range, bass. These are pretty decent. I'd normally go bass up a point or 2, and then treble, in my opinion, at 1 or 2 up is good. Do you want it favoring the driver or the passenger? Do you want it rear focused or front focused? And then speed sensitive volume. So as you're going faster or slower, it's automatically going to adjust the speed for you, or the volume for you. Customizing the audio sources. So when you're on the audio menu, you can see there you've got all of your different audio sources there. But if you're on the settings option here, if you're on the audio sources option there, you've got the flexibility of adjusting these out. So let's say if you know you're going to use USB 1 instead, or USB 2 instead, you can overwrite it. If you prefer to have FM in front, you've got the flexibility of doing it. So it's just a drag and drop in order to adjust these out. Nissan connected services, nothing exciting. If there were system updates available, map updates, which are great. You can update by USB device or Wi-Fi. So you just have to be connected to a Wi-Fi network at home. System voice. So when you hit the voice command prompt,
Please say or select canceling voice recognition.
so that is your system voice. Do you want that initial prompt? I always say no to that one. And then also turn on short prompts. Watch this. Tune to 94.9 FM. It just does it. It is so much faster and so much quicker by doing that. So just turn off the initial prompt, turn on voice prompts, short voice prompts, and this is going to be the best option. Do you want a male versus a female voice? And how fast or slow do you want them to speak? From there, basics for apps. I don't think there's anything, nothing exciting there. Camera, display settings. So you've got the flexibility of adjusting it out. So you can adjust the brightness, the contrast, the tint, and the black levels. And then you're just adjusting this way in order to do that. Edit user gives you the flexibility of adding any user profiles. So if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you can set up a unique user. And that's going to do things like remember your phones that are connected. It's going to remember your presets and all of your individual settings. So if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you definitely want to set up a unique user profile. And then a series of ambiguous other settings. Display, you could toggle the display off, push the button there in order to resume the display. There we go. You can adjust the brightness, the contrast levels, or the black levels for the display. Language, you can change it to English, French, or Spanish. Units is a useful one because you can adjust kilometers versus miles. And when you adjust it out here, it also changes up what's going on inside of the cluster screen. So very useful if you're going across the border. And then you can also change between either Celsius or Fahrenheit. And when you do that, it also changes up what's going on down the center stack as well, which is pretty neat. And then back, you've got two different options for your keyboard, so either QWERTY or ABCD. And that is just about everything. So a few other things about the bottom here. So you've got the option of turning yourself into a day or nighttime mode there. You can also do a longer press and hold if you wanted to turn the display off. So if you find it too distracting at night, and then you can just do a button press in order to bring it back. If you're on the audio for a second there, you can also jump between all of your stations this way. You can hit audio to go to your different sources, menu to go back home, look at your map, look at your camera, so you've got that full 360 view, and then a basic back button there instead. You could turn your radio, hold on, so if we're in the audio for a second there, you can see audio on versus audio off, adjust your volume, tuning rocker, pop yourself back in order to adjust your bass, treble, balance, and things like that, which is kind of neat. So if you wanted to really kind of dial tune these things in yourself as you go, you've got the flexibility to do it. I know that's a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the infotainment system inside of the Nissan Pathfinder.